Today is Friday, December the 13th. So, do we have a China Phase 1 trade deal or don't we? There's some interesting things going on. Zero Hedge, whom I despise, but has his finger on a lot of facts, says that we've never sold $20 billion worth of agricultural products to China. So exactly how they're going to buy 40 billion is a question. Apparently they could buy all the soybean crops in the United States for 36 billion. So the market got excited at the beginning and then figured out that this is pretty much the same deal that Trump could have signed in May. So we just went through 6 months of nothing. And we finished yesterday on the Dow exactly where we finished yesterday, with volume a little bit less than the 20-day moving average. The NASDAQ finished slightly up, and the S&P 500 finished exactly where we finished yesterday. So all in all, not very impressive. One analyst called it sell the news. So buy the rumor, sell the news. That may be what's accounted for the rise going into today. And now people are saying, meh, and they sold the news. But advancers and decliners, flat with decliners slightly leading. That is going to leave the market breadth indicator pretty much up there. And there is an awful lot of churning going on. Sort of reminds us of what happened here, back in July and August. And when we couldn't get money to move into the market, money decided to move out of the market. But that is the summertime. So, and this isn't the summertime, but it is the end of the year. So just be careful in the next 2 weeks, because the news that we've been waiting for, we just got. So what else is going to drive this market? There are no earnings reports coming out. Today is interesting. We finished at doji. So exactly in the middle between the high and the low, that's where we finished, with a very narrow open to close range. We are still at the top of this 1994 based trend line. So we're going to watch for that. I think we're going to churn. I think we're going to drop. Apple was stellar. They were perhaps one company that stood to gain the most from today's delay of the December 15 tariffs, which would have added $150 apparently to the price of an iPhone. So the market rewarded them for that, even though they got some bad news yesterday from some analyst who said that their sales are down by 30% in China. But that didn't matter. We now have a new closing high, so we can move that line to up there. And both of our stochastic momentum indicators are reaching the top. There's still a little bit of room, possibly, for the fast-moving one to go. But you see this peak, we've already exceeded that one, and this one, and this one. We still could go up here, and there's still room for the slow-moving indicator to come back up. But we're running into an overbought situation. But we've had 2 days now where buying has been taking what's the word? My mind went blank. This is institutional buying, which drives it above its 20-day moving average. Caterpillar was down because there was no indication that there's going to be any farming machinery part of this deal. It's very light on details other than agriculture, because of course Donald Trump is trying to get the vote out in the Midwest Rust Belt states where the farmers are. I guess people don't think this is good enough news for the farmers to go out and buy new Caterpillar equipment. And we still have no sign of any infrastructure deal with the latest budget of $1.37 trillion or $1.7 trillion. that was just approved with the Democrats. So whenever the Democrats and Trump agree on a budget, that's probably not a good thing, because that means we're going to have to go further into debt, which is exactly what they want Trump to do. Spend himself into a position where he can't be called a conservative anymore. Home Depot had a very nice rebound, just above the 200, so that is significant, getting up to this 100% fib level. So we may see our momentum indicators start to change. They were on their way up. They've stalled a little bit, but I haven't made any change to my very small position that I have in Home Depot. But if we break the 8 EMA, I will be adding on to that position quite a bit. AT&T, not much volume, but they did announce an increase to their dividend of 2%. It's now 52 cents, and it's going to be payable on early February. And you have until I believe the 10th of January, but take a look at the date where it goes ex-dividend. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make sure none of my stock is called, because I got the 38 short calls. We're now at 38.25. My short calls are worth more than that. So one of them will be easy to roll next week, and the other one is January. WDC up 58 cents. We wanted to look for two things. We wanted to look for breaking the 50 and holding it, which we did. We broke the 50 and we held it, so that's why we had that little marker there to remind us. And we were also looking at the Chiku span, and the Chiku span got stopped by the 200, so that is significant. So that is where we ended the day. The Chiku span actually got as high as here. It looks like it may have gotten blocked by the 8 EMA and then pulled down to retreat under the 200 SMA. So let's continue to keep an eye on that area. It's going to be important for the Chiku span to break the 200 and get above these candles in WDC. One analyst said that this could be good news for technology stocks and chip stocks. But one thing I think that he thought that China had learned is to never rely on the United States for your technology, because the man in the White House could decide he's not going to sell you technology, or he's going to impose tariffs, what have you. China will be, over the next decade, building out their technology manufacturing capabilities, and this is not a good thing for chip companies and technology companies in the United States. Amazon down 89 cents. Look at that. Oops, sorry about that. Just rejection there at the top of the cloud, and the 50 EMA exactly the same place. So if you were watching this, I think we mentioned it yesterday, the 50 in the top of the cloud is coincidental, and it is also, let's look at that back here today, it was not the Chiku span at the top of the cloud, but that is the next thing that we've got to look for, is what is the Chiku span going to do when it hits the cloud. And then we'll put our other indicator here, and on Monday we're going to want to look to see how it reacted to the top of the cloud and the 50. I have no positions in Amazon, so let's try to keep it under 10 minutes today. Where's the good news going to come from in the next 2 weeks? Retail sales so far into the Christmas season have not been good. Is the consumer going to run into the stores or Amazon in the next 2 weeks and surprise everybody? Certainly the early shoppers have not apparently been out in force.